Welcome to Project Hardway. My name is Jeff, and in today's video, I'm going to be recovering the headliner for my 1994 Chevy S10. That being said, I'm not a professional mechanic. I am a hobbyist, however, who just like yourself is passionate about my cars and loves to get in there and do whatever I can with my own two hands, even if I've never done it before. I'm going to dissect this thing together, take a look at it, and then, reverse the operation and try to recover this thing and make it look at least better than it does now. There may be a little bit of improv along the way, because I've never actually done it before. But I got faith that I can do it, so let's hop into it. Okay. Well, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. No, not math, just excuse the mess. Guy's busy, All right, so the first thing we got to do is remove this old material. Kylie, would you like to help me take this stuff off?
Yeah.
All right, here, get off that stool. Here, I need you to go over there to the edge and peel that off. There you go. There you go. Keep peeling it. Keep peeling it all the way around. Yeah.
I'm ripping some of it.
That's okay. We're replacing all this.
I don't...
Here, go to the other side. There you go. Yeah. It's always easier when you've got help. A little extra set of hands that like to tear stuff up. So the center of it was pretty well loose. The other parts of it were still pretty tight. And on headliners like this, nope. Oops. It wraps around the edges too, so you got to get that stuff off there as well. All right, now that the cloth is off, the foam backing is still on the headliner itself. We got to get that off. And there's many different ways to do this. If yours is really dried out and really worn out, a lot of times just a quick run with a vacuum will get it off. Or you got to rub it off there as well. Get it all cleaned up, get it down to the base material, and then we can set that new stuff on there. This is going to take a while if I do it this way. A little bit of, yeah. Holy cow. We're out of root beer. Wow, that's eating it up real good.
Dad,
Now this is a wire brush for welding, but it also...
Don't do what my dad's doing.
No, it's okay.
Scratching it up.
That's what we want to do, baby. We want to take all this old foam off. All right, I'm going to keep brushing this until all this stuff gets as loose as I can get it. I'll vacuum it off and then see how much material is left on it.
I want to try. I want to do this.
Be careful, that brush is pokey. All right, so the Wild Child and I have gone crazy with the wire brushes here. We've got a lot of this stuff scraped up, loosened up. Guess I could use gravity too. All right, well, we still got some scraping to do. They need the whole thing to look like this and then some. Right, we're just about getting there. Still got a little bit more to go. My assistant is taking a break to go ride her bicycle. So maybe by the time she gets done with that, I'll have this finished up and can do the final wipe down on it. Now the next step will be to try to clean this up to make it, as dust-free, dirt-free, and grime-free as possible. And then we can start putting the adhesive on and laying down our new headliner fabric. But before I do that, I've got to go be a father and a husband. So I'm going to stop playing mechanic for today. We'll pick this back up tomorrow. All right, everything's cleaned up underneath. I've got my new headliner material draped out over the headliner. This is a suede type material, nice and soft. I got it from Amazon for about 50 bucks. It's supposed to be a 54 by 60 inch piece. It's 57 by 57. But that's okay, it's just enough to cover the headliner of my little extended cab S10. Measure your stuff. If you got like an SUV or something like that, you're gonna need some stuff, all right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roll this halfway back. Got some of this 3M high strength 90 contact adhesive. This is the stuff that Reagan tried to ban in the 80s. I'm gonna shake it up real good. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spray a little bit on here, onto the headliner itself, and then I'm gonna spray just a little bit onto the backing material. You gotta be careful, you don't wanna oversaturate that because it will bleed through into your headliner and then it's, bad. And this stuff sprays in a fairly wide pattern. Do a couple of overlapping passes, get it good and thick. Do the same on the headliner itself. Make sure when you're done, they say to turn the can upside down and spray it until it's all clear coming out. If you're about to use it in a second, you don't have to do that. You want to do that for storage. But do make sure you kind of try to wipe off the tip, because that glue that's on the edge of the tip will harden up and affect your spray pattern. If it starts to get a little funny shaped, not fanning out like you need it to, a quick little wipe with some acetone on a rag will take that right off there and you get your spray pattern back. All right, so I'm gonna let this sit and tack for a moment. Then we'll fold it over onto itself and we'll start to press that glue together. The glue's got to glue to the headliner, and the glue's got to glue to the headliner fabric, and then the glue's got to glue to the glue. It's the best way to do it. All right, so that's had a few minutes to tack up. I've got some fresh, clean gloves on. Best to do that so that you get any glue residue, the oils, dirt, anything on your fingers aren't getting onto your headliner while you're trying to press it together. So, fresh, clean pair of gloves. I'm gonna roll this over. In that area that I sprayed, I'm gonna start in the middle, and I'm gonna work my way out. Just kind of pressing it onto itself. And you see that suede material changing direction and shape there. Woo, yeah. Just kind of let that work together. Make sure that you smooth out any wrinkles that might be in it, and that you're getting full adhesion and contact in the areas that it curves and things like that. Because if you don't, if you're not getting a good press together, then it's going to have a spot that will not adhere, and that will eventually add to more not adhering when it's upside down, dealing with the heat and cold and extreme temperature changes inside your vehicle if it sits outside, like mine is going to. I'll let that set for a few minutes, let that get acquainted with itself, and then we'll fold it back over and continue working towards the edge. Been sitting for a moment. We're going to roll this back just to where the end of the last adhesion was. Yeah, there we go. Now this time I'm going to get it, I'm going to angle it towards this crack here between the headliner and the headliner material. Make sure that that area in there gets glued. I don't really want to peel it back any further and undo the glue that's already on there, but I don't want to miss a spot either. It's also very important to do this with the garage door open or some type of fan on, some type of ventilation. All right, now the same as before, glue on the fabric, try to get it the same area as what you sprayed on the headliner. All right, let that tack. Gloves on again, pull the fabric back. Again, from the center out. As I do this, some of this loose suede is coming off, which I guess is kind of good because now I don't have to worry about so much of that flying around in the truck. All right, now I should finish up this half of the headliner with this last pass here. Don't be afraid to be liberal with the glue, all right? You want to have good, long-lasting adhesion. Now some of these spots where it starts to curve a bit more at the edges and towards the back, kind of work around with it. You want to get kind of a straight pattern at it, the way you're not wasting too much time on material and you're getting a good amount of glue on the places you need it at. There's glue on the floor. All right, good. There we go. Open this up. Got some of those glue fumes out. I'm going to give a little bit more attention to these corner pieces because it curves up, curves out, and it goes in some different directions, and I want to make sure I get a good adherence on that. And with this older headliner out of the truck, it's a little bit softer in the edges from just time and warpage and wind and stuff. So I'm going to put my hand on the back here and get that pressed together real well.
But what about me?
You're going to sit there and look pretty.
No, I'm not.
Now that I've got that down, we can fold the other side over, do the same thing working towards the outside. So you can see we're here now at the area where the sun visors are, and as you can tell, it's it's not flat. Okay, so I've got my glue on here. I'm gonna let that get tacky, and then we're gonna try to work it into those pockets there and those corners there without wrinkling the fabric or without having it put on in a way that wants to pull away from the headliner. Hopefully this material will conform to that shape pretty well without trying to spring back. I'm gonna hit that middle there. I don't want to pull my fabric too tight, at least I don't think I do. I'm gonna get it onto the edges before the curve first. And now I'm just gonna go right into it. I'm gonna push this material here towards that so I'm not pulling this fabric that's already adhered this way. There we go. Sticking to it. It's not pulling away. It's not pulling that corner. I think I'm good. Now I'll let that set intact like we have everything else. Then I've just got this last edge to do. We'll do that. Then I'll let it sit. I want this to cure really well. And then I'll flip it over and we'll start taking care of all this excess on the edges and getting our holes in place for the sun visors and the pull handles and that rear dome light. So now that top portion's had plenty of time to dry, I've got the headliner flipped over and now we've got to take care of the edges. I think the best way that I'm going to get this done is to go ahead, glue down the parts that I want to glue down, let that dry, and then go back and trim the excess fabric off. I've got this bag of clothespins here from Walmart. It's going to help me out on some of these tough spots where the corners are shaped funny or things are cut in a way that's not straight and easy to just, put the glue on and let it set. It'll really hold it in those places and help it adhere and glue bond very well. All right, I've got glue down on the edges of the headliner backing material and the fabric. I've had that sitting there for a minute. What I did was I went around and just sprayed the fan pattern 50-50 over the edge of the backer and the fabric. That way it's not too far out. We only need so much to wrap around. From the factory, this was wrapped around the door edges, and then the rest of it was cut clean around the edges. And that was done by a machine, and I'm not a machine. So I think for the best, longest lasting results that I'm gonna get, I'd be better off wrapping the fabric around the entire thing. I will have to make some relief cuts when I get to some of these corners and this little area right here. It's not gonna be fun. But I'm gonna start off easy. I'm gonna go with the back edge here. The glue has adhered very well to the edges of the other side, so I don't need to pull too much to try to force things to kind of wrap around and be nice. But I do want to keep it a little taut so that it conforms to the edges of the headliner nice and sharp. I'm just going to start in the middle. I'm going to use my thumb, wrap that around. What I may do, go ahead and use a clip right there in the center just to hold things in place to get started. Boop. And work my way from one side to the other towards the outside edge. I don't have all day to play with this though. The glue's going to dry. My daughter has gymnastics. I have one less clip. Now I've got to wrap this side around, but it wants to fold. So we're going to cut some of it out. Now I'm not going to go all the way with my cut to the edge of the headliner backing, because then that creates a seam that could split and tear as you go. But you want to get close, I guess. Alright, let's see what that did for me. Put a clamp on that center portion there. Keep working my way over back towards that corner again. So now I've got 3 clamps here around that V-shaped area. I just want to try and make it keep and conform to that shape as well as possible. Now I'm into that funny little shape up in the front corners of the cab that I showed you before that I'm looking at, and I'm not sure how I'm going to approach these. But let's see what happens when I just try to thumb it in there. Here, let me bring you in for this. All right, you see what I see here? That's an odd shape. I'm going to work on that. I guess I'm just going to try to, push the material up into that area with some of the excess. Now I may end up having to cut this thing a little funny. Stuck a couple more clamps in that corner over there. We're going to move on and hope for the best over there. Start in the middle I'm gonna run out of clamps if I'm not careful. Pull the fabric up, roll it over, squish it in. Now that this saw has had time to dry, I'm gonna start cutting off the excess fabric. You can see I've already started doing it with a razor blade. It's not pretty, doesn't look that great, but you'll never see it until I take it out again when it falls down on my head. I don't think we'll be redoing it after that though. But essentially I'm just gonna pull on the excess fabric, pull it up, and I'm gonna drag my rather dull razor blade along the edge here. And God, I'd be better off with a hacksaw. Just work my way around it until I've got all this excess fabric off, taking care in the corners here, because it's all folded up on itself. You know, looks like a flower. All right, so I think I'm gonna start back here with this dome light. Hold on. Oh yeah, there we go. It's right there. I don't want to just cut this hole out because even though that's how it was from the factory, I'm afraid of the frayed edges. So I want to have some material that I can fold back and glue to the back and have a smooth edge there. Key thing, and like I've said before, is I don't want to cut all the way up to the edge of the hole. I want to have just a little bit of fabric still wrap around into the corner. So right now I've got my fingers pinched under there like this. Be careful, okay? This is sharp. Where's that hole at? Yep, there it is. Just gonna stab in there, get a severe laceration, and I'm gonna try to drag it diagonally across to the other side. Now we'll come back and come from this corner, poke, slice, and there is something. Yeah, we can tuck that right on around there. We'll flip it back over right quick, pull that around, glue it. Try not to get glue on the face of my fabric. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter for these little guys. They're gonna be tucked around the other way. Let's do that. I guess while that tacks up, I will go ahead and have a go over in this area where the sun visors bolt in. This right here, all I'm gonna do is make a hole, because the clip just has to through it and it'll all squeeze and squish once it's in there. This right here, it needs a little bit more, but that's okay. We got something we can work with. Now if I can figure out how I want to cut this, because this is a triangle. So I guess from the center to a corner, this is the way we'll go with this. Ah, there we go. I'm gonna get hurt. There we go. Oh yeah, that's definitely an angle I don't want to have my hand at. Ah, boom, whole time. All right, let's see what we can do here with these clamps. Give me that. Oh yeah, that's some good glue. So that gave me absolutely almost no trouble folding over and sticking there. But for good measure, I'm gonna hit that spot. Boy, these clamps are a little big, aren't they? So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to just set these big old clamps on there. But what I can do is keep applying some pressure for some time. Need some smaller clips. Ooh, paper clips would probably work. I ain't got no paper clips. But if you have some paper clips, boop. There we go. And there we have it. I redid my own headliner, and I did it all by myself. Look, Ma. But seriously, guys, you can do this too at home. Just be patient. That's the biggest thing, because if you're not, you can screw this up and do it again. Ask me how I know. That being said, it's not a professional job, but no one will ever know the difference in the beat up little truck that this is going in, and it is much, much better than it was before. On top of the fact that I've got the pleasure of the satisfaction of knowing that I did this myself and that it'll be good for a while. Don't be afraid to get out there and do things on your own, guys. Don't forget, sometimes you gotta do things the hard way.